Hey everybody, welcome to RPM, Rock and Pop Mandolin, your destination, your site for learning some classic rock and pop songs on this wonderful little 8-stringed instrument. My name is Mike DeJong, and today we're going back to the 1980s for one of those huge hits from that decade. This one from a band called Bon Jovi, and it's a really fun song to play on the mandolin. And the reason I think it's really fun is the guitar part, played in the original by Richie Sambora, sounds really sweet on the mandolin, as you just heard from my introduction. It works really nicely, and it's a nice little D minor pattern that you can get with some double stops. So if you watch this lesson, I'm sure you'll have a fun time learning that song and playing it. And the song goes from D minor into D major and back and forth, so that also makes it a really good study for the mandolin. But first, before we get to this Bon Jovi track, if you are new to this channel, RPM, thanks very much for tuning in. And please hit that little red subscriber button down there in the lower right corner before you check out. It really helps us to continue to grow this channel. If you are a returning subscriber, thanks once again for coming back and checking us out. We really hope you enjoy this lesson. If you'd like to help us just a little bit more, maybe a little bit financially, well, how about looking at our Patreon link? It's down below in the comments. Check us out on Patreon and maybe consider becoming a patron or a sponsor or a VIP over there and getting access to some exclusive lessons that will not be on this page for RPM. But now, without further ado, let's take a look at Dead or Alive for Mandolin by Bon Jovi on RPM. Okay, we're ready to take a close-up look at Dead or Alive by Bon Jovi for mandolin. Once again, as I said, a really fun song to play on this instrument. It works really nicely. The song, as I mentioned, is initially in the key of D minor, and then it changes to D major for the verses and the choruses. All right, so let's check out the opening riff. It goes like this. All right, so what is that? Well, that's a little D minor progression right up at the top of the mandolin neck, almost, at least on the highest two strings. And it actually forms a D minor chord voicing up there right at the top of the mandolin, right here, at the 12th and 13th fret. So I'm hitting this note right here at the 13th fret, which is actually an F note, and then this note here at the 12th fret of the A string, which is the octave A, and I'm hitting this D string open. So that actually gives you a D minor chord, which is 1 octave higher than this D minor chord. If you know this D minor chord voicing down here at the bottom of the mandolin neck with the A note here as well, but if you just take it from the D, right, D, A, and F, you can just move all the way up to the top and get that little voicing. All right? So what Richie Sambora is doing in the original version on the guitar is something like this. So you just want to 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Hit all of those notes separately. Arpeggiate them, right? That means picking the notes to a chord separately. Well, here. Like that. All right? Then you move down just a couple of frets to here. So that is now the 10th fret of the A string and the 12th fret of the E string. So from here to here. And all the while, you're still catching that low D string here, all right? That is your root note for this pattern, right? So everything is based off that low D note there. So it's the same picking pattern as well. It goes, right? And then you shift that pattern just down 2 frets. So you're now here, which is the 8th fret of the A string and the 10th fret of the E string. So you're just moving this pattern down to there, all right? And it's the same picking pattern again, as I said. Always catching that D, all right? Then from there, you move to there, which is 7th fret of the A and 8th fret of the E. So that opening pattern once again goes like this. All right, it's always the same picking, always with that low D note hitting first. Okay, so from there, now you take a little bit of a jump down from there, and you jump all the way down to here, and then here, and then here. All right, so you're still picking the same way. So what I'll do it from the beginning again, really slowly. Now you jump down to here, which is the 3rd fret of the A string and the 5th fret of the E, and then to a G chord, which, as you know, is 2nd fret on the A, 3rd fret on the E, right? So, and then you have to kind of slide this finger down to kind of get that D minor chord that I showed you earlier from the G. That's how he ends the riff. So it's like this really slowly. See how I slid that last one? And if you're really adventurous, you can always go, you can catch that low A again if you want to make the full D minor chord there, but you don't have to. I play it like that. It gives you a nice D minor chord with the D here. So that is your opening pattern, your opening riff to this song. A really nice little D minor study with D as your root all the way through as a pedal note, as we say in music. Pedal that right down to there. Okay, so once you've come down and you finish that opening pattern, now we switch from D minor to D major, right? And all you do is just move that one finger there on the E string, 1st fret, up to the 2nd fret. You can use this next finger if you like, or this finger as I do, the ring finger. So you're coming down from that opening riff, right? Now we're going into the verses. Okay, so what is that? Well, it's only 4 chords and they're pretty easy, but there is a little bit of a picking pattern off the D major. So I'll show you that. You start with a D major chord, and then I do a little pattern here on the E string, right? So all the while keeping this finger anchored down here on the A note, which is 2nd fret of the G string. So D chord, right? So that's 3, 2, open 2 on the E string. Right, and C chord, G chord. And on the G chord, I catch a little pickup note here, which is just open A to the 2nd fret A. So again, from the beginning. C again, G again, and now F to D, all right? So that's an F chord. I use this voicing here on the 5th fret of the G, 3rd fret of the D, open A, and 1st fret of the E string, which is your F note, right? So once more, the verse pattern goes D, C, G, C, G, F, F, D. And the choruses to this song uses the same chords, just in a slightly different pattern. And of course, they throw in this dead or alive, cool little lick there off the end of it. So how does the chorus go? Well, after the verses, here's a verse. I'm a cowboy on a steel horse I ride, right? On it. Dead or alive. Okay, so what are we doing there? Well, we're going to the C. I'm a cowboy, and to a G. On a steel horse I ride, back to the D. I'm wanted, C, G. And then the dead or alive part comes over an F chord. You could play dead or alive. You can play the F chord, but I like this little, I like that little Richie Sambora lick. And you can even add that little lick in there as well if you want. So what is that over the F? Well, it's just 5th fret of the G string, 5th fret of the G string, open D, and the 3rd, which is an F note, and you want to just You want to bend it just a little bit, like that, so it gives a little bit of color. All right, so that's over that F chord and back to a D. And then when they go back to the D, you could add that little lick as well, which is an open E string, 5th fret of the A, and the D right there. So that's a little D9 sort of lick right there. So one more time, the chorus is... And that's that chorus part for you in this song. Okay, there's another little interesting part you might want to do, and it comes right at the beginning, as I did during my introduction to this video. I did a little lick like this. Right? So that's a really nice little D minor pattern, and basically I'm just doing a couple of harmonics here. If you don't know what harmonics are, well, you might want to Google it and check out what they are, but basically it's just touching the strings very lightly. And it works, harmonics work really nicely at the 12th fret on the mando. So I'm doing 12th fret here, harmonic on the A string, and 12th fret on the D string, and just, right? And then go right down to your D minor chord voicing down here, and just arpeggiate it a bit, like that. So I'm going these two strings here, so 2nd fret and open, and then I'm just going 1st fret and then open there, and it gives you kind of a D minor 9 voicing, I think it is, because of this E note, right? So you see how that works? And it's really nicely to lead into this part. You know, once you get into the song, it's really nice to have that as your opening. Okay, if you're feeling really adventurous with this song, you might even want to try to do Richie Sambora's guitar solo on the mandolin, which kind of goes like this. So you could do something like that. I mean, I didn't get it quite clean there, but it's a really nice little pattern that you can use for a guitar solo. And again, you're utilizing the notes from a D minor pentatonic. So I'm playing a D chord, and then you want... Right? So what am I doing there? Well, I'm just starting off with a D note, and then I'm using those notes there. The same notes that you use in that pattern. Start with the D note, then go to this A, kind of a hammer on, 2, 5, D open, and then 3rd fret with your F note there, so. And then I'm doing a little, so that's 3 open, 5 open, and then you want to slide up to this note here, which is the 7th fret. It works really nicely. So you're going 7, 5, 3, 5. All right, so far we've got... And then from there, you want to do this... You want to do that a little scale pattern, or a pentatonic pattern, I guess it is. Something to that effect, all right? So what's that lick? Well, that's A open, and then 3rd fret, 5th fret open, right? You're just going A, and then 3rd fret, 5th fret, open E, 1st fret, 3rd fret, and finally ending up on the 5th fret, which is the octave A, so like that, right? You can, right? And then from there, just come down 2 notes. And then that's a cool little lick to end the first part of the solo. It comes from the G note, the 3rd fret, down to the 1st fret, to the open, and to the D, which is the 5th fret here on your A string. So, right? And then you can kind of do the same part again. And you can do something like that just to repeat it as well. The key is that little lick there, which... And those are the basic notes from the guitar solo that Richie Sambora plays on this track. I mean, he does a lot of bending with the guitar, which is kind of difficult to do on the mandolin, but you can certainly replicate the minor pentatonic notes and get it to, well, you can get the solo pretty close, and I think it sounds pretty good, especially if you put some trem on it, tremolo, instead of bending the notes as Richie Sambora does. Anyway, have fun with it and make the guitar solo your own. And that is Bon Jovi's Dead or Alive for mandolin, a really fun song to play on this instrument. Have fun with it, and I hope you got something out of this tutorial. If you did, please hit that subscriber button on the way out if you're new to the channel. We really appreciate your support. If you are a returning visitor, thanks once again. You are always welcome here, and we will continue to produce great videos for you in the future. Keep sending those positive messages and song suggestions as well. My name is Mike DeJong. Thanks once again for tuning in to RPM.